one, Tina's team that's a great team. I have a ton of respect for Tina. I said that in our presser before, and I've gotten the chance to battle against her when she was at Rice, and it was one of my first years here at Columbia, and she gave us a little whooping there. So I knew what she was capable of, and I knew she's got a great, talented team. So I just want to say, kudos to them. I thought that was a great battle. And, I'm really proud of our team for responding. Halftime was a big moment for us, a big turning point, just in the trajectory of the game, obviously, but also us understanding that we were beating ourselves a little bit there too, right? And I was, credit especially to these two sitting to my right for really locking in. Kitty was just a menace defensively, wreaking havoc everywhere, and Riley just hitting big shots, wanting the ball, wanting the moment. It was just good to see some of the shots we took early in the game fall, and then just build that confidence back. And out rebounding a Big Ten team, that's a big deal too. Number 14 gave us everything she had. I thought we adjusted our post coverage as well. So happy with the effort in the second half, and hopefully we can build off this one.
Questions for the student athletes?
Mitch Northam, SB Nation. Wow, that is really loud. Okay. I had just kind of a weird question about the signs on the bench. I don't see a lot of women's college basketball teams doing it. Football teams doing it. Where does that come from? How does it help? How have you guys, adjusted to it?
I think in this program we're just big on the details, and it's just another way to communicate to your team. And I think when we're all on the same page, it's a huge advantage, and why not just be very clear with what we're doing? So I think it's just a one-up, and it's just something that we do. And as I said, we just have a lot of details, and that's one of them.
The questions.
Oh yeah, hi, Jillian Prunty, Columbia Daily Spectator. Kitty, you came out of the halftime break looking incredibly driven. What were you thinking coming out of that?
Yeah, I think I just had a lot of fuel coming out of halftime because I knew we weren't giving them our best. Obviously they're a really good team, but we weren't giving them even half of what we could, especially me as well. I had missed so many layups. I just needed to get on to the next thing and start it with the defense. And I think we made adjustments, and then from there, that just fuels everything. We always say that, but defense is going to fuel your offense. So I think I just came out, tried to do what I could defensively, and then my teammates just, Riley's a beast. Everyone did their part, so I'm really proud of everyone.
We're going to go to Zoom. Jen.
Hey, Kitty. Hey, Riley. Jen Hadfield with the Knicks. A couple for you. Just, first of all, you guys have accomplished so many firsts for this program, but how good and how significant does it feel to get the first NCAA tournament win? I know you guys have been working for this for a long time.
Yeah, this is something we've been working towards all year, and this is, our goal is at the beginning of the year. It's what we set out to do. So, it feels really great to get this win, but after we get this win and celebrate a little bit, we're on to the next thing. We're focused on winning the next game because I know we can make a deep run. We have a ton of potential, and we're not even close to it yet.
Other questions in the room?
Mitch Northam, SB Nation. For either one of y'all, the coach mentioned how you kind of switched up your post defense and really limited Daniels 14. I think she had 10 rebounds in towards the middle of the second quarter, so you only really let her get one more for the rest of the game. How'd you do that? Is there a sign for don't let her get any rebounds?
Yeah, no, it's a big stop sign. No, but I think Perry really stepped up. She was just a beast on the boards. She was jumping up, getting everything. It was a really physical game. So, I think we just adjusted to that and just went up and, had to win those 50-50 balls, and that's what you have to do to win. So, and then in terms of just, we were sending a couple more people at her, making her think, and I think that just, got in her head a little bit. Yeah.
All right, we'll go back to Zoom. Madeline on the Zoom.
Hey, Madeline Kenny with the New York Post. For the players, I'm just curious, what was the vibe at halftime at the locker room? What was said? Who said what? That there clearly something was said. There was a message sent. So.
Yeah, I'll take this one. I think Coach G knows how to get us riled up in the locker room at halftime. So yeah, she just told us we knew that it wasn't our best nearly, and she just told us we need to be better pretty much. And I'm proud of us because I think we rose up to that challenge in the second half.
Riley Tell me about that shooting groove you got into in the second half. How did that feel? Did you sense that was coming at halftime? And how'd your Kitty, I'd love to know how you found her and what it means when she gets on a roll like that.
Yeah, I mean, my shots felt really great, and my teammates, they do a great job of finding me the ball, and then the coaching staff tells me to keep shooting, make or miss. So just moving on to the next shot, make or miss, I'm going to shoot the next one. So my shot did feel good, though, yes.
Yeah. I mean, I just love when Rye plays with confidence. No one can stop her. She was a beast, like I said. I'm really proud of her, and she's gotten so much better at knowing when it's her time, and that was today. So, boom.
All right, back to the Zoom. We'll go to Rob.
Hey everyone, Rob Brown, Ivy Hoops Online. For both Riley and Kitty, yesterday when I talked to Coach and said, what's the big difference between your two teams? And it was speed and physicality. Can you both talk about how that was the big turning point for tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the second half we just sped them up a lot more. We stuck to what we were supposed to do, and it worked. But also I think, like I said, it was just a really physical game, and we were ready for that. We go to battle every day in practice with our scout guys. They prepare us really well. So we were ready for a physical game, and we just needed to get out and run and get steals on defense and let that fuel our offense, and I think that's what we did in the second half.
Yeah, Kitty said it well, but I think in the second half we did a better job of pressuring them and turning the ball over. So yeah, that fueled our offense, and that's what got us going.
Thanks.
All right, another one from the Zoom. We'll go to Howard.
Howard Megdal from the Next and Locked On Women's Basketball. Riley, Kitty, congratulations to you both. Wondering if it seems like the major difference from last year to this year is you both have NCAA tournament experience, and I'm wondering if there was a moment in each of these games where you felt that experience kind of manifest itself.
I think last year was a ton of emotions going on, it being our first time in the tournament. We were just so happy to be here. And I think this time being our second time, we're super focused. We know we belong here. And yeah, we're really focused on the games and giving our best every game and winning.
Yeah, and I think we just stayed so connected today. We weren't getting caught up in anything that was going on, any distractions. We were just so connected, no matter whether the shot went in, out. We were so connected, getting on to the next thing. Coach She kept talking about dominating the next decision, and I think we did that really well. So I was proud of us. Yeah.
All right, we'll go back to Jen on the Zoom.
Riley, for you, just want to ask you about Kitty real quick. When Kitty comes out at halftime that determined and starts kind of, doing her thing there, getting to the hole, all that stuff, how much did that kind of lift everybody else up in terms of being able to kind of follow the leader there and get going?
Yeah, I mean, Kitty's an amazing leader. She's like our engine. We go as she goes. So it's great to play alongside her, and she's at her best when she's being aggressive and looking to score as well. So yeah, it's great to play alongside her.
Lindsay Gibbs with Power Plays. Coach, they talked about the locker room at halftime. I wondered if you could go into, from your perspective, what was said at halftime and what you think fueled that second half.
Yeah, they heard what they needed to hear. I'll say that. But, it's even, we could hear, it's just, I think we gave confidence to Washington, and they should be confident. They're here, they're at the tournament just like us. And, I just said to them, I'm you're just getting punked right now, basically, And we even heard their players being we should be up 30 right now, And so I'm all right, cool, bet. So we tell our team, hey, listen, this is the game. They think they should be beating you by more. And, for them, I think the sense of pride, came back into their heads. And there's nothing wrong with that. Teams do that. That's players. They're players, right? And I said to them, I'm listen, you need to realize, this isn't about them. This is about us. This is about what we're doing. And you got to realize, blue heads, we talk a lot about blue heads, red heads. We were being red-headed in that first half. We were making chaotic decisions, erratic, throwing the ball around, not trusting our process. And having a blue head is all about clear, confident decision-making, honestly, and, trusting. And so we kind of wrapped it up with that, nice little bow, and then came back out ready to attack.
Mitch North from SB Nation. I'm asking about the signs again. I'm just kind of curious, where that came from and how hard or easy it is to kind of coordinate all that? Like you have players and coaches raising them and flipping them, and how that helps your team.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I think the game of football is like really intriguing, right? Because there's so many details and such a high level of communication and coordination that happens. And, you know, there's people that are having signs and hats that are throwing the other team off. And, you know, I think we've learned a lot from that. And we said, like, as a staff, and I give a lot of credit to Coach Ali Bassetti on my staff, she was like, what if we created signs for them? You know, if we're going to be this multiple press team and we want them to have a greater awareness of when we're about to be in the bonus or they're about to be in the bonus, why don't we just visually show them? You know, I'm a big believer in communication. I think the best teams, the best leaders communicate at the highest levels, and that's really hard to do just verbally. So we were like, all right, let's visually bring that in. So there's a nonverbal and a verbal for everything that we do and every way we communicate.
Coach, last year after going out in the first four, you insisted you'd be back. You came back, you won. How does it feel to be another part of Columbia basketball history in that way?
I mean, this is my home, right? This is home for me. You know, this is my alma mater, and you know, it amazes me what we can do when we have great people understanding why we're doing what we're doing. I just think you can do so many hard things together, and that's like the greatest reason that I'm coaching. Is, you know, I want to teach these young people how to do hard things together, and that's, I think, somewhat lost in society right now. And honestly, I'm blessed that I get to do that. That Peter Pilling, our director of athletics, hired me when I was 30 years old to lead this program. Just a kid, just really hungry. I'm sure he was like, all right, Megan, like cool it a little bit. But here we are doing what I always thought we could do. So again, just it's special just seeing a group come together and do hard things together.
All right, we'll go to Madeline on the Zoom.
Hi, Megan. It's Maddie Kenny. Seeing Riley just have the second half that she had, I think she had 19 points in the last two quarters alone. I mean, she really provided an offensive lift for you guys. How have you seen her just evolve throughout this season, and just what makes her ready for these big time moments?
Mm-hmm. Well, Riley is, you know, she was a prolific scorer throughout her entire high school career, and that was something we knew we would get from her, but it was teaching her how to play the next game, right? College basketball, high school basketball, they're like two different games. I don't even know if they're the same sport. And we told her, especially coming off of last year, like, hey, listen, you're not going to be a role player anymore. You want to be a starter. You want to be a star. You want the moment. You want the spotlight. And, you know, we just told her what she needed to do. And I'll tell you, like, she's one of the most coachable kids I've ever had in a program. You tell her it once, and she does it the very next moment. So it was like, hey, you need to go get in the weight room and gain 15 pounds this summer. And she did it, right? And then she came back, and she was a more durable athlete. She was able to defend. She was able to do the things that we were asking her to do and not just be a scorer. You know, she's going to score. That's what I said to her. I was like, that's like your baseline, right? You're going to go score, but how many other ways can you impact the game and build confidence in your teammates that you're doing it with them? So I just think, like I said, coachability. She's a coach's kid. She's been around basketball at a high level and has a really IQ for the game, but we're just seeing the beginning of Riley Weiss, I can tell you that.
All right, we'll go back to Jen on the Zoom.
Hey, Meg, just to kind of follow up on your halftime speech a little bit, I'm curious for you as a coach, how do you know which buttons to push with this team, and how did you decide kind of how you wanted to go in there and kind of address all that you were seeing in that first half?
Honestly, it's you know, it's love. That's what I would say. You know, I love these players like they're my family. We spend way too much time with them, but that's what you do in this crazy profession, right? You know, I always say if I were to characterize our staff, we're a work hard, play hard, love hard staff, and you know that involves them. You know, I want them to be able to call me up and challenge me if, hey, coach, you're too hard on us today, or we might need a day off. You know, that's the relationship I have with Kitty Henderson. So, you know, for me, like I know what they need in those moments because I know them, right? And we're not just coach and player, but we're in the fire together. And I just think that takes time. You know, the other beautiful thing is we have 4-year players. You know, I get to grow with them over 4 years. That's the thing I love about the Ivy League. It's really about higher education, and you know, players really want to come for that degree, and I'm one of them, right? So I can speak to that. But you know, I would just say it's because we love each other and we can trust each other, and it's no ego, amigo. That's what we like to say.
All right, we'll go to Howard on the Zoom.
Coach Howard Megdal, Locked On Women's Basketball on the Next. Congratulations on the win. I have a general one about what we saw as a difference experience brought. The fact that there were 9 turnovers in this game for you guys. You had 18 last year.
Yep.
against Vandy. And just beyond that, just a real quick specific, if you could reflect on Kitty Henderson winning her 100th game at Columbia.
You beat me to it, Howard. That was going to be mentioned today. Yeah, well, first of all, in terms of ball security, that's a big sign of maturity, and we talked about that. The end of this season, and just all big opponents we play, especially in the non-conference. We always say whoever takes care of the ball more is usually going to have better control just offensively of what they're doing, not being sped up. And even in the first half, we barely had any assists, they barely had any assists, right? And it was just kind of like a one-on-one game, and that's just so not how we play. So we just got back to trusting each other, trusting the play calls, echoing play calls. And obviously that paid off for us is, to be in the positive and assist to turnover is a major key to success. So, and then with Kitty, wow, what a winner. What a winner. She's absolutely my most favorite player I've ever coached. I love Abby Shue. Everybody hear me say that, but wow, Kitty's a winner, and she's the winningest player that's ever played at Columbia. But to have 100 wins in your career when we play a shortened schedule, we only play 27 games in the Ivy League. And, we've had a deep WNIT run when it was before the WBIT, and she's played in postseason every single year. But to get 100 wins in her 4-year career where we don't have a big conference schedule, that is even more impressive in my opinion. Just the most selfless human and basketball player and leader in this program that we've ever seen.
We'll go to Rob on the Zoom.
Hey, mate, congratulations. Great win. The big three for Washington had 31 points, 14 rebounds, and only 4 turnovers in the first half. But then they were down to 23 points, 6 rebounds, and they were up to 8 turnovers. What specifically did you all do to create that situation?
Yeah, well, first half, honestly, we were really trying to close off the exits and let 14 go to work, and she went to work. And so we, halftime, we just said, listen, we got to be better in the gaps. We got to move on airtime. We're going to send doubles in the post to make her think. She's a nice passer, but let's really make her speed her up, And we didn't want to do it right away. We're going to do it on the dribble, and I thought we executed that well. And then our press just was way more in sync. Talk about, again, they're major ball handlers. Zero is a really special player. Wow. But to make other people have to pass through the press and make decisions was the main goal. So for us, I thought those adjustments, our team executed really well in the second half. And again, that was just part of the game plan. Honestly, that was the big adjustment we made at halftime.
All right, last question, Madeline.
I know Riley and Kitty and Cece always get a lot of praise and credit for what they do, as they should, but Perry Page, she does a lot of the little things really well, and I'm just thinking about that last rebound where she went from literally the 3-point line and hustled to jump 5 feet off the air to grab that rebound. How important is it to have a player like that just does all those things that you need for her to do?
Perry, another player that I just think you're seeing the beginning of Perry Page. She is a force, I can tell you that. And I was just so proud of her. I said to her today, I was like, just go be you. Stop trying to conform and do everything perfectly. And, she's, again, such a special human. She has her own business, and she's got an internship with the NBA already this summer. She's just that kind of a human where she wants to be so good at everything, wants to be so good at life. And sometimes I'm like, just be a basketball player. And today I thought she really embraced that well. She was super present, super focused. And she was like, I'm guarding 24. I'm guarding 24. I'm like, all right, let's go, Pete. So when I see that version of her, sky's the limit. She's got such a bright future in this sport ahead of her. And, I've told her, I was like, you're going to be our best player next year. Riley's going to be Riley, but you're going to be our best player next year. And I'm like, just don't wait. Why wait? Let's march right now. Let's enjoy this while we can together with your seniors that I know she loves. So, she's a force. I can tell you that.